Hi, my name is Rod Khleif, and I'm the host of the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. And every week I interview multifamily rock stars, and we talk about how they've built incredible wealth for themselves and their families through multifamily properties. So hit the like and subscribe buttons and get notified every Monday when a new episode comes out. Let's get to it. Welcome to another edition of How to Build Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. I'm Rod Khleif, and I'm thrilled you're here. And the person I've got on today is a freaking hoot, okay? Her name is Dwan Bent-Twyford, and Dwan hosts the most Dwanderful real estate podcast ever. And her trademark is America's most sought-after real estate investor. She trademarks everything, which we're going to talk about. And she's flipped a couple thousand deals, and we're going to have some fun today. Welcome to the show, Dwan.
Hey, Rod. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
I hope it's raining really hard. I hope that doesn't screw up our audio. Well, let's go for it here. But just decided to pour out of the heavens just right before we started here.
That's
so Dwan,
Florida.
You've got a great story, which a story that means a lot to me because my mom was pretty much a single mom as well. Could you talk about your story before we get started here?
Sure. Just real quick. So in my 20s, I had a lot of jobs, what I would call dead-end jobs. Rod, I got fired from Denny's. I used to work.
I worked at Denny's too. That's so funny in Denver, 84th and Pecos. That's hilarious.
In the morning, I got fired from Denny's. So I had basically no job skills, went along in my 20s, got married, had a baby at 30 with the idea of being a stay-at-home mom, being the Girl Scout mom, the homeroom mom, the field trip mom, and all the stuff like that. And when my daughter was 8 months old, her dad unexpectedly left and took the car and kind of the money and basically left me with an 8-month-old baby and no idea what I was going to do with my life. So it was sort of one of those, like a come to Jesus moment, like, okay, what am I going to do? So what I did not want to do was raise her in daycare. And what I did not want to do was go back and wait tables. So I thought, okay, I waited till I was 30. I want to have this kid. I want to raise her. And the pain of working in daycare was like more than I could actually bear. So I thought, okay, I'm going to put on big girl pants. I'm going to figure out a way to work for myself. And I'm going to go out and search for things. So I find something that sounds good and I'm going to do it. And I actually met a couple guys that were rehabbers. And they said to me, we buy houses, we fix them up, and we sell them. But my naive brain heard we decorate houses. And I was like, I'd love to decorate. This is going to be great. I found my job. So I went door knocking. I found my first foreclosure. I moved in. I decorated it, and it looked terrible still. So I learned how to become a rehabber. So I started going to Home Depot. I took every class in the world that Home Depot has, and I rehabbed that entire house completely by myself and made $22,000.
Let me just those of you listening that can't see her right now, she's a visual feast. Okay, so she's got pink hair and she's got a pink dress and she's got 2 pink flamingos with hats and pink boas around them behind her. So she is like this explosion of pink. And we're going to talk about branding because there's no question that's extraordinary. It's extraordinary branding. So you, and since then you've done a couple thousand flips. You've done tons of short sales. You trademark short sale queen. Again, trademarks everything, guys.
Trademark. So what I did right in the very beginning, I only knew this one thing was rehabbing. And then, you got to remember, I started 30 years ago. So we didn't have RIA groups. We didn't have online. We didn't have seminar. We didn't have any of that stuff. So I only knew about rehabbing, and then a real estate group opened up in my area. I heard people talking about wholesaling, and I was like, hang on a minute, because I was moving into a house, fixing it up, selling it, moving with my daughter because she wasn't in school yet. So she was with me every minute. And then I discovered wholesaling and just like, that's when I started making tons of money. I was flipping houses like a crazy woman, which led to short sales.
So you're wholesaling and flipping. And guys, the reason I have her on the show, I mean, she's primarily single family right now, but she's actually doing a big mixed use project with, commercial space on the bottom, a bunch of buildings, almost redoing a whole town. We'll talk about that here in just a second, but that's why I had her on the show because she's an expert at branding and and creating reach. And so, I'd like to shift to that for a minute. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
this whole pink explosion, was that by design, or did you just fall into it? Was because guys, let me just say this before you answer, Dwan, is that, in this business, in this multifamily business, anything you can do to stand out is going to make a big difference. Like, for example, I've got, I know I have students, or no, actually, this guy's not a student, but I know people that, have in their they give their investors, or I'm sorry, their brokers, sign memorabilia. They're one of the partners that owns a memorabilia shop, so sign memorabilia from their sports team. I have a student that wears these colorful jackets, and he sells real estate, and that's his way to stand out. And there's anything you can do like that brands you and sets you apart with brokers and potential investors is worth its weight in gold. So back to my question: did you just fall into this, or was it by design?
So, just real long and short of it, every decade I change my hair color. I feel like I have all these personalities that need to come out. So like in my 30s, I had red hair. My 40s, I was platinum. My 50s, I had black hair. And then I was turning 60. I thought, you know what? I'm just going to be like, I want to be that crazy woman that does all the weird, crazy stuff. And people go, she's so eccentric, because you're old enough now to be eccentric instead of be like a weirdo. And also when you turn 60, you really don't give a shit what people think anymore. So you're like, I'm going to do what I want to do. So I thought, okay, I'm going to start this podcast. My name is Dwan. I'm going to be Dwanderful, Dwantastic. I have Dwandonaires, my millionaire. So I created like a whole vocabulary based around my name, and went with crazy pink hair and said, that's it. And my podcast is like going like crazy, and people interview me all the time, and they're always like, I just want to talk to that woman with the pink hair. So I don't even, so yeah, clearly all the pink and the Dwanderful and the Dwantastic has definitely set me apart from all the other conservative little old 60-year-old ladies.
Well, yes, it has. You look great for 60, by the way. And so the point is, guys, you may not have to take it to the extreme level that she did, but she's a great example of branding, because it is important. When you're out there and you start your real estate investing journey in the multifamily space, you're going to have to hang your shingle. You're going to have to come up with a name. Most of the names end in capital, real estate, group, investors. Ours is CRE, equity capital. Whatever. And then you want to come up with a brand around that. And of course, my brand is education, and so is Dwan's actually. But the point is, that's how you do it. Now, let's talk about creating reach for a minute. Do you do anything else besides the podcast? I know you put these on YouTube as well, but was the intent to create, what was the intent for the podcast? Let me ask it that way.
Okay, so I have been for decades teaching at lots of multi-level speaking events, 3-day events, 15 speakers. I've had an infomercial, been on TV. I've written 3 bestsellers. I wrote a book with Steve Forbes. So I've been doing like all those things for a really long time. And honestly, the honest truth is I was feeling a little bit bored. I know that sounds like, well, how can you be bored and start a podcast? But I had already been doing so many things that were kind of the same for 30 years. And I thought, I want to do something that's more fun, and my personality can be out there. And like, when you speak for somebody, they kind of are like, you have this much time, and they don't like you to show up with pink hair and blue jeans. And, they have like the rules, and I thought I can just have my own thing. And I can do whatever I want. I say whatever I want. And you know what? That's what I'm going to do. So I started the podcast, honestly, so I could have more fun. I started and I knew people listening would learn. And I knew they'd get on my webinars, and I could get people invested in starting into real estate investing to get them out of their jobs and working for the man.
Out of the rat race
anymore.
Sure. Love it. Well, by default, you've created incredible reach, and by default, you've created a really iconic brand, and and it's just kind of cool. And I think you're again a great example of that, because it's so it's such a leg up in this business that we're in.
Yeah.
If you have a differentiator, because of course, like with brokers right now, they're the belle of the ball. It's hard to get their attention. Anything you can do that sets you apart so you get those off-market deals is worth its weight in gold. And the more reach you have, and of course, we live in the greatest time on earth for reach. I mean, your podcast, my podcast, my YouTube videos got watched for 40,000 freaking hours last year. It's just mind blowing what's possible. And so, it's just an incredible opportunity, and you don't need thousands or millions of downloads or views. You only need maybe 1,000, even if, and believe it or not, that sounds like a lot, but it's really not. To have a really good business and be raising money and so on and so forth.
And, also just real quick, I'm not a real estate agent or a broker or any of that stuff. I don't have a real estate license. I started off in the investing side of things. And what I have found that makes my soul happy is I work with people that are in foreclosure because they're losing their house or they're losing their building. Like the buildings that we bought were all in distress. All 20 buildings were in distress. And the reason I like that is because when I was that broke single mom, I lost my car, my house, all my stuff, but I got my daughter. So I feel like I have a heart towards helping people that are in distress situations. So all the buildings we got, every single one of them, they were all in distress too.
Love it. Yeah. When for a decade, I knocked on doors of people that were in foreclosure in Denver, and bought, I could still name almost every street across the whole town because I had houses on most of them. And I was driving them every night. I knew it better than a cab driver. And so, it is very rewarding. I bought a lot of those houses. I listed a lot of them for sale because I was a broker. And then, after I lost everything in 2008, I started a business helping people that were in foreclosure as well. So you and I are definitely aligned and vibrating on the same level in that regard. And so let's talk about short sales for a second, because you are the short sale queen. That's your trademark. You've done a ton of them. I've done a ton of them. And I got to tell you guys, you don't hear it very often, but you're going to hear it here. And I think we're frothing right now. I think we're headed for a contraction. I really do. And I think the current administration is helping that along with some of the stuff they're going to do, eliminating 1031s or minimizing and expanding the capital gain tax and so on and so forth. And so I think it's coming. And so, nothing to be afraid of, just something to be aware of. And I'm getting in a lot of cash right now, but there will be short sales again. There are a lot of people in foreclosure right now that are under this foreclosure moratorium, and that's going to end here, and when that does, I think there's going to be opportunity in single family, and I think ultimately in commercial as well. I certainly in retail and office right now, but talk about short sales a little bit. So what is it? For those that don't know what it is, just describe it first.
I will, just real super quick. My actual very first commercial building I ever bought, the people owed $350,000 to the bank, and the bank shorted my first building, 6-story building, to $75,000.
From 350 to 75.
To 75,000. Right. My first.
When was this? What year? What year was that? Was that after the crash?
That would have been like in 8 or 9, 10, like right around in there.
Yeah, right at the crash. Yeah, it was right at the crash. Okay, yeah, and guys, that's likely to happen again. The other thing about, again, crashes is, we just put a place under contract literally yesterday, 269 units in San Antonio, and so we're buying, but we had to kiss 300 frogs to find that one. Okay, but so we're still buying. People say, should I wait? No, don't wait. Be looking right now, because you're going to learn the business as you're looking. But and don't fear it, because there will be exponential opportunity when it happens. But talk about what a short sale is. You kind of just did, but just for those that don't know. The
gist of a short sale, and so I want to make 2 points. The gist of a short sale is you find a house or a building or vacant land or whatever it is, and the people owe $200,000. It's worth $200,000. They're not making payments, and you just talk to the bank and negotiate. A 3-step negotiation process, and you get the bank to come down to possibly 50% of the value, and then you're able to buy that house or that building or that land, and you can wholesale it, rehab it, keep it, live in it, like whatever you want to do with it. So basically, you're getting the bank to agree to take less, and the bank is agreeing to take less as a full payment, then the homeowner gets out from underneath the property and, you flip it, wholesale it, whatever you want to do with it. But my very first, well, not my first big commercial deal, but my first big commercial 6-story building, like I said, they only owed $350. The building's worth at that time it was like $500,000. And it was in foreclosure, and it was an older building built in like the 1920s. The bank took $75,000, and I was like, "Woo! Look at me!"
Right, right. And guys, by the way, we're talking about wholesaling. Most of you know what that is. You put a place under contract, you flip the contract. But I've got 5 students now who have made over 100,000 wholesaling a multifamily, and one that actually made 2 million. So wholesaling is really freaking awesome in not just the single family, but also the multifamily world, just FYI.
It is. Yeah. And Rod, one of the things that a lot of people don't know is they don't understand that you can short sell anything. You can short sell a car, you can short sell your credit cards, you can short sell your debt, you can short sell houses, multifamily, commercial buildings. And there's nothing that you can't short sell.
So you said 3-step process. What is it?
Well, I started doing short sales. So just real quick, I started doing them back in the 90s. And the very first couple I did, I was wholesaling houses. And one of my deals, the numbers were too tight. And I was like, oh man, am I going to make any money? And this is, I need the money. I'm a single mom. So I called the bank up. I said, hey, I need you to take some money, off this deal. And without even checking with her boss, she's like, okay. And she took like $5,000 off. And I was like, holy cow. So then every deal I got after that, I called the bank to try to get them to take a little money off on fees. Then I got really brave one day and said, hey, let's take off some of the principal. And then I got really brave one day and started asking to buy houses at 50% of the value. All of a sudden, I'm doing short sales everywhere. I've got hundreds of them going on. I'm opening up a RIA group in South Florida. All my students, everybody's doing them. And we're just like crazy doing short sales all over the country. So it just turned into like this.
Well, this had to be in 9, 10, 11, yes?
Oh, no, this wasn't. No. I started doing these in like 92, 93.
No kidding.
Way back.
Wow.
Way back.
Wow.
Yeah, way back. Even the banks weren't even. So the 3-step process is in the beginning, the banks would just take money off and it was easy. But then when the crash came, you couldn't just call up and say, hey, I'll give you 50% for the house, because it wasn't quite that easy. So what I did is I recognized that it's a negotiation. So I'm going to make an offer, they're going to counter, I'm going to make an offer, and we're going to sharpen our pencils and meet right there. So I started doing a 3-step process, which I also trademarked that. And I trademark everything. But the gist of it is the bank really only cares about the money. But if you just jump into the money, sometimes you don't get such a good deal. So I made it where the first offer, I'm talking about the homeowners, they're distressed, they're losing their house. Here's a picture of the kids. How can you not help me let these poor people be homeless? And then the second offer, I talk about the area, the neighborhood, the guns, the shootings, the rapes, the murders, the sex offenders. I try to scare the bank. And the third offer is what they really want to talk about, which is the money. So I kind of build some rapport. I know I have to haggle, and so I haggle with a purpose.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So let me ask you this. You are very, very motivated. And, my brand really centers around mindset and psychology. What inspires you? What's driving all this? What's your why? Why are you, out here changing the world?
Well, originally it was my daughter. I said, I was one of these people that waited. I did not want to raise my kids in daycare. I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to do all those things. And then I was able to. And then when I got married to my husband, we've been married. We actually met at a real estate seminar. And I got married when my daughter was 13. So I was a single mom for 13 years. And during that time, I bought rentals, commercial buildings, houses, a boat, a car, like all the stuff, like you and I were talking about, I had all the stuff. And then I got married and my husband had 2 kids. So now there's 5 of us. So now we're just travel, fun. And now I have grandkids. So now it's like, I want to create generational wealth. Nobody in my family started generational wealth, and somebody's got to be the first one. And so Bill and I are both from Ohio and Iowa, where I was raised with the mentality, get out of high school, get a job at a factory, get married and have kids. And he was kind of raised the same way. And we're like, you know what? We're going to create generational wealth. So our kids, our grandkids, kids, like down. Everybody's got something.
Love it.
but
Love it.
they don't just get it all for free. They have to
No, got it.
work
No,
for
they
it.
got to learn the business. They got to
But
want the bid to do the business. Yeah.
yeah, because even the Bible says that it's a blessing to leave generational wealth. I was like, well, all these giant families that have decades of all this, somebody had to be the first ones. So my real motivation is for that. But secondly, I want to do that for other people. I want to take people that work a job they hate. They're stuck in a 9 to 5. They don't like their job. They don't like the degree they got. They're just stuck. They don't know where to go. It's like bounce over here to real estate, just like you do. And let's create generational wealth for you too. Because honestly, I'm always like, if a single broke mom fired from Denny's can become a millionaire and create generational wealth, there's no person that can't do it. There's nobody. I'm not any smarter than anybody else. I'm just highly motivated.
And you take action. It's that action. So many people get caught in analysis by paralysis, and you take action. So let me ask you this: during your career, were there any pivotal moments, any aha moments, anything come to mind when I asked that question? I know I didn't prepare you for any of these, but anything?
No.
Yeah. Anything come to mind that when I asked that question that we're like, oh, now it's time to do this, or just like an aha kind of a thing?
Well, in the beginning, when I closed that first deal, I thought, holy cow, what? Maybe I can do that again. So after I had about 10 deals in, I was like, wow, I can actually work for myself and be single and I can make money. What the hell? So I was just like, woohoo. That was my first, I really can actually do this. And then another point, and I guess this is pivotal for me personally. I started teaching some people. I opened a RIA group. I started teaching some people. I saw all these people able to quit their jobs and making $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. They were really doing well. I thought, wow, I can actually teach other people how to do this, which saves people in foreclosure, but helps these people change their lives. So I was like, wow, who would think I would have the knowledge and the power to do that for other people? So that was another moment where I was like, wow, thank you. This is so great. And then I started thinking, well, I can do bigger things. Why do I just have to stick to this little thing? I could get some commercial buildings. I can do more. So I don't know, every little growth step along the way was me kind of thinking well, why can't I do the next thing? So there was just I'm always pivoting. And now I'm like, okay.
What might, let me ask this. What, and I'm interrupting you a lot because you'll just keep going. No. I know, because I know, and that's the only hate I ever get is that I interrupt, and it's tough because there's quite a few things I want to ask you, and I just don't want to make sure we have enough time. But knowing what you know now, I love to ask this question. Knowing what you know now, if you could go back and tell 18-year-old Dwan something, what might you do differently?
A lot of people ask me that question. And I used to say, oh, I wouldn't party so much. I wouldn't do drugs. I wouldn't waste my 20s like in the 1980s in South Florida and South Beach being a crazy woman, because that's what the whole 80s was for me. Between Fort Lauderdale and South Beach, I was lost my mind.
We can compare notes on that sometime. But I'm talking let's stick with business. Let's stick with real estate. Is there anything you might have done differently on this real estate journey? Let's keep it there.
And the thing is, Rod, is to summarize, I used to think that, but honestly, I feel like if I didn't go through all the bumps and hurdles, I don't think I'd be where I was at, because I don't think I would have even found real estate investing as a path. I became an investor out of desperation. How am I going to fend for myself? And earlier on, I'm 18 and earlier, I didn't think that way. So weirdly enough, I would not do anything different because I don't think I'd be where I'm at.
You know what? I completely agree with everything you just said.
And I like where I'm at.
And I feel the same way. Even the pain, even the big pain you go through in life shapes you and makes you who you are and contributes to who you are right now. Yeah. Fair enough. And of course, with the big multifamily operators that I have on that have thousands of doors, it's always go bigger, faster. And I want my listeners to hear that so that they're not afraid of going bigger, because of that. But so what is your definition of success, Dwan?
I feel like my honest to God definition at the age I'm at now, it used to be the money, the cars, I was listening to you and I thought, oh, I had my G-Wagon, I had my 10-carat diamond, had all my fur coats, I had all my stuff. But honestly, I think the true success is that you really have peace and you're happy with yourself and where you're at. And if you are happy with you and you've learned to actually really love yourself and you surround yourself with the right kind of people and get rid of all the negative, toxic people out of your life, I feel like that really is at least the foundation.
Oh yeah.
Of the success.
Yeah, love it.
And a lot of it's getting rid of toxic people, even if they're in your family.
Yes. Yeah, we talked about this on your show. Yep. We talked about this on your show. Guys, you guys know how I feel about peer group and the critical nature. Show me your 3 friends, I'll show you who you are. And some, people out of their fear, their jealousy, their fear of losing you, their fear of being embarrassed by your success, blah, blah, blah. There's so many things that contribute to this will hold you back. And again, like you said, Dwan, sometimes it's family, and love your family, choose your peers proactively. Very, very important. That's what saved me in 2008 was the group that I was in, kicking my butt, thriving through all that crash. And so that really helped. So let me ask you this. Do you have any favorite?
Just real quick, in 2008, a lot of my family is from Tennessee. So a lot of my uncles are sort of, old fashioned. Women should be home barefoot in the kitchen, And so during that whole crash, they were like, wow, you're going to get a real job now. You're going to really settle down. This real estate investment's not going to work out. And I was like, I'm fine. I knew the crash was coming. I'm smart. I told all my students, do this and get ready. This big giant thing is coming. But so many people were like, so you're going to finally quit that and get a real job? It's like,
really?
This is a real job.
So you knew it was coming. Wow. Oh, gosh, I'm impressed because I didn't know it was coming. It was, I totally didn't. So you knew it was coming. So what triggered it for you that you knew we were going to have a crash?
So and part of this probably is because I was really heavy in single family homes at that time. And everybody was getting those 3, 5, and 7 year interest only loans. And I just remember watching TV commercials, borrow 125% of the value of your house, interest only. And I saw all these investors that I'm training and teaching, and I've got an infomercial, and I'm seeing 500,000-600,000 people, borrowing more than their house. I was like, this has got to bust somewhere, because when all these people have to start making the real payments, it's going to crash. Yeah.
They had those stepped up interest rates, where they would step up and they crashed and burned. Of course, back then, if you fogged a mirror, you could borrow money.
And that's the thing.
Yeah, I'm impressed that you were able to step back from whatever you were doing to look at that, because I'm embarrassed to say I didn't, and I see it now though. Boy, I totally can see it because I went through it, and it's painful. Well, they used to take kids out to the boundary lines and they'd spank them so they'd remember where it was, and I got spanked in '08, so I remember exactly what happened then. So
you know what? I'll tell you real quick. My husband and I, we teach together. His name is Bent-Twyford. He's the real estate rock star. So you can only imagine what he looks like. We were teaching at a multi-level speakers event in like 2008 in Miami. And we said, listen, this market's going to crash. And we got booed. Boo.
Really?
I said, listen, the market's going to crash. People are doing 3, 5, and 7 year loans. The market can't sustain everyone in 3 years refinancing their house at the same time. And we got booed in front of 400 people. I was like, you mark my words and write down the day you heard this and you booed me. And
that's funny.
Seriously.
Love it. Wow. That's funny. Well, listen, we're running out of time. I really appreciate you coming on the phone. On the call here. You're a sweetheart, and it's just been a real hoot. You've got incredible energy. And guys, check her out. The most wonderful real estate podcast ever. Her website's dwanderful.com that's DWAND erful.com. and you're a hoot. So let's stay in touch for sure. Okay.
Thank you, Rod. Thank you, everybody. God bless you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Rod, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. Now, I know you've been hard at work helping our Warrior students do just that using our ACT methodology, which is awareness, close, and transform. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
You bet. Guys, we've been going nonstop for 3 years, building an amazing community of like-minded people. And our coaching students, which we call our Warriors, have had extraordinary results. They've purchased thousands and thousands of units. And last year we did over 1,000 units with our students. And we're looking to grow this group and take it to the next level. We're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework that's really step by step and then leverage our systems and network to raise equity, to find and close deals, and to build partnerships nationwide. Now, our warrior community is finding success in any market cycle. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more of our incredible network and take advantage of the incredible opportunities that are coming very soon, apply to work with us at mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 72345 and we'll set up a call so you can check us out and we can check you out. That's mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 72345.